Today's voiceover talent is more than just a pretty voice. Today's voiceover talent has to be a boss, a VO boss. Set yourself up with business owner strategies and success with your host, Anne Gabby, along with some of the strongest voices in our industry. Rock your business like a boss, a VO boss.
Welcome to the B.O.S.S podcast. I'm your host, Anne Gabby, with my amazing co-host, Gabis Thoughts. Hey, Gabby.
Hey, girl, hey.
So, Gabby, today we have a really great question from one of our faithful listeners. So I'd like to actually, first of all, thank you all for listening and supporting us. And I would like to encourage more people to send us your questions because we love to talk and we love to to discuss these things, and so I would love to have more questions from you guys. So feel free to submit any questions that you want us to answer to info@voboss.com. Gabby, what's the question?
So this is great. So Macha Gruber, I love this girl. I follow her. We follow each other, I guess, on social media. She is a little doll baby out of Atlanta and former radio chickie poo like myself. And so she sent me this absolutely adorable message and said, so if you don't mind humoring me, I have a question. And I will humor you any day, honey bun.
Aw.
It's so cute.
Love that.
So she said, I love this chick. She's awesome. And, this is, we definitely want to hear from you guys often. This is great. And this is part of why we do this. It's not just for us to sit here and talk to ourselves. We want to talk to you.
So true.
So, not that I don't love talking to Anne, but
I love talking to you too, Gabby.
I know, we do. No, and when we can talk, we know that. But
that's for sure.
All right. So, Macha said, I have been throwing myself into casting site research and submissions, always a smart idea. And she said she had a director ask her if she has an agent. And she responded, well, I have 4. She said, my question is, how do I handle this? First of all, why do they need my agent to begin with? Second, how do I pick which one to offer up? And third, do I have to volunteer someone as tribute to begin with? Is there any way around this? I thought this was a fabulous question, very topical, especially with everyone's efforts now, I think, collectively in the voiceover industry to start moving a bit away from pay to play and more into their own efforts.
For sure. So
let's break this sucker down.
Well, first of all, congratulations on the gig. That's always wonderful.
Right?
That's always wonderful. And it was a direct inquiry, I'm assuming, which is why she got a response, which I think is fantastic. And Gabby, remind me later on, we got to talk about that because we've got a really cool thing that's going to be happening in V.O.S.S that we want to tell you guys about.
Ooh, yeah, we do. We sure do.
So, so I'm going to say congratulations for first of all, going out and having the fortitude to get, to find your contact and submit to your contact. Yeah. And get a response. That's number one, fantastic.
Yeah.
I love that.
Macha gets the gold star for the day. There's absolutely no doubt there.
There's no reason why any of us cannot do that. There's no waiting around for gigs. I mean, I'm always one to hustle and, go out, find your own network, find your own contacts, go out and just, sell yourself. And so for that, I love that. I love that as an example. So, Gabby, what are your thoughts about the question in terms of how should she respond in terms of does she have an agent, number one?
So I'm going to, I guess, kind of answer the question in reverse. My first inclination here, and this is as someone who has a multitude of agents myself, not that I don't love them, not that I don't respect and appreciate them, but my first inclination, if a client is trying to directly work with me, negotiate with me, I want that inquiry to be direct. I'm going to circumvent the agent process if I can. Now, there are exceptions, and there are times where I would definitely want to bring one of my agents into the conversation. But initially, I am going to prompt that client to work with me direct and to speak with me about their needs and see if I can't get the ball rolling.
Right. I think that's fantastic. First of all, assess, what the needs of the client is.
Yeah.
And absolutely, if you did all of the footwork to go out and get that gig, then I agree with you, Gabby. I think that, trying to deal with it directly is super. And I'm wondering why they were interested in why, if she had an agent, if they were probably thinking that that agent would be the negotiator. And as you and I know, and with all of our talks about negotiation, we're both of us, I think, are big proponents of being able to negotiate your own contracts. So I would say if you feel comfortable with negotiating, directly with your client, I would absolutely do that myself.
Go for it.
Go for it. I would do that. But if you're not comfortable with negotiating, then you might want to consider putting that toward one of your agents and bringing an agent into the deal. And that, now the question is, which one? Which is a good one. Yeah.
One of the things to consider here too, and I know this because she's in the Atlanta area, it is possible, maybe, just maybe, that this client was inquiring about her agent because it's a union booking or because they have a union contract, which is fine. And if that's the case, that certainly gives you a little bit more reason to bring your agent into the deal. Again, it's not always essential. I know a lot of union voice actors who will negotiate direct. You don't have to go through your agent for a union booking, but because that does bring a lot of extras and a lot of intricacies to the table, you may choose to.
Some of the pros of bringing an agent in on it, if you decide to, if you don't feel comfortable, if the deal is for, an extremely complex, national campaign or local or regional campaign that's in certain areas for a certain amount of time, and all of that stuff makes you kind of like dizzy, I think that then might be the time to bring in an agent. If you have an agent in that same area, it might behoove you to bring in the agent, because that way you're showing good faith towards the agent and including them.
Yes.
And it also it might make them want to include you more in auditions or shortlists or however it is. It's always good practice to have a good relationship with your agent. And that's certainly not going to hurt your relationship with your agent.
Not at all. There's a lot of strategic reasons why you would choose to bring a job to an agent. And I have done that in the past. No prompting from the client, literally my own volition, just looking at the scope of a job and saying, I'm going to direct you to my rep on this.
Absolutely.
And handing it over. And there is one really great tactic for doing that, especially if your agent relationship is kind of new. It's a very good way to cement that relationship and develop that good faith, because you're bringing something directly to them. They love that. Why wouldn't they?
And here's another strategy, and I've actually known a few people that have done this. If you wanted to be repped by a particular agent and you had this deal that you thought was a little bit bigger than you could handle, I don't see anything wrong with approaching an agent that you want to be represented by and ask them, say, hey, look, I have a client here who, has this job, and I was wondering if you would like to, step in and help me negotiate that. What a great way to kind of build a relationship with somebody that you wanted to get on their roster. And, I do think that that agent will not take you on their roster after that. Give it to them on a plate. I mean, that's amazing.
Yeah.
And way to create a great relationship and get yourself on a roster that you've been wanting to be on. Great way to introduce yourself.
No agent will turn that down.
Yeah.
No one. No one's going to say no.
So true. I don't know one agent that will turn it down unless they've dealt with a company before and had a negative experience. I've never heard of that.
Me neither. I mean, I think in that particular scenario that you just laid out, any agent, even if at the end of it all they still don't really have an interest in working with you, they'll still gladly negotiate that job and put it through their system because they're equipped to do that.
Absolutely.
So you just brought them extra business. It's great.
Well, I honestly, I can't imagine, not even if you're not like put front and center on their website, on their roster. I know a lot of people who, not a lot, I know a few people that have done this, that are, on the roster and will get auditions. They'll get audition opportunities. And really,
It's like a
that's what it's
trial
about.
run.
That's exactly. They'll get put on that trial run immediately. And who doesn't want audition opportunities, especially, through an agent that you've always wanted to be a part of. So I really don't see anything wrong with that. And again, going back to, if you feel comfortable negotiating and if the client's needs are something that you feel that you can handle, absolutely, I say go for it. It's going to be a wonderful, wonderful learning experience for you so that you'll feel more comfortable in the future. And I'm one of the biggest cheerleaders for people doing negotiations themselves. It's just, it can help you in so many ways to be more confident in dealing with any client that might come your way.
So now let's look at the other scenario of this, which is if you choose not to negotiate this yourself, you have a couple of reps that you could easily send this to. Who do you send it to? Who do you select? Are there rules here? Are there proper engagement processes? What's the deal?
Well, that's an excellent question. And I am going to say, if the job is going to be possibly recorded in a studio or recorded somewhere that might be local to an agent, I would sway myself toward maybe selecting that agent in handling it for me, because just if it's in the area. But let's say it's not, Gabby, what would you do if it wasn't in the area of any of your agents?
I think geography and the contract that you sign with your agents is very important, and I do honor those, and I think that they are a guidepost, and it shows good faith towards the relationship.
Yes.
So if you've signed a contract with an agent in a specific geography and it covers that geographic territory, and this client, in Macha's case, falls into the geographic guidelines of a particular agent, then that really is who should receive the phone call.
That would be my choice too. Absolutely.
Yes. Now, in many cases, and I know this is true for a lot of my reps currently, and I think, Anne, you have a few like this. I think most people have a couple of these right now. There's a lot of agencies that are signing people without exclusivities, with no geographic boundaries. It's kind of a little loose, and the relationship is acting a little bit more like a casting director would than a traditional agency.
Now,
so if that's the case, and let's say the person falls under that geography, but you don't have that sort of a contract, well, I mean, is there anything wrong with playing favorites at that point?
Well, exactly. That's an excellent point. That's what I'm going to say. And agencies now, they've changed in the last couple of years. For sure, a lot, especially because of the state of the industry. And those that are not asking exclusivity, there's a reason for that. And number one, you have to understand the industry the way it is now. It's tough. It's tough to be an agent. It's just with all of everything kind of coming on, digitally, on pay to plays and all
just
these
online
things.
Casting
just
in
online
general.
casting in general has really kind of thrown, agents for a loop. And in reality, you have to understand that the more you include them in on a potential job or gig that you're going to do, first of all, the more appreciative they're going to be. And it helps them. I mean, we're all a business, right? Their business is to help you get business. And so working together, you're partners in that. And so I think that if you still consider an agent, to be your partner, and if you approach the business like that is going to really reap rewards in a multitude of ways for you. Number one, in terms of, whose audition might they listen a little bit sooner to? You know what I mean? If you're going to generate that goodwill and that good relationship with them. And, who you might get an extra audition, who knows in reality, because you've been helpful to them. They want to be helpful to you. And so I think that it always is a good thing to just be in a good relationship with your agents so that you can reap rewards that will help your business and help them to help their business.
Well, and there's another part to that too. What you just said about, maybe you get an extra audition out of it. Maybe there's some piece of goodwill that comes from the agent. I can tell you guys this firsthand from my time in the casting world. There are plenty of times that talent agents get a client who they've worked with for years and they just say, go ahead and pick. You choose. I trust you, or I don't have any real specification right now on what I'm looking for. Just get me a pro. And the agent has the ability to just pick a name.
Yeah, that's great.
Well, obviously, somebody who's greased the wheels of that relationship a little is going to have a better chance of booking that.
Absolutely.
The other thing, too, is that this is a two-way street. Everything Anne just said about those relations, it has to be in kind. You should feel a good, warm and fuzzy from your agents. You should feel that they're working hard for you. You should feel that you have good communication with them and from them. And, I hate to say it, but again, the way the industry's changing and moving, if you have an agent and you're on their roster, but they don't communicate with you very often, you don't hear from them a lot, they don't really seem to be all that concerned, yeah, I'd be less inclined to send that person something.
I actually was in contact with my LA agent, and I said, you know what? I bet she doesn't have anybody on her roster that would have this type of voice. And so I literally just reached out to her because I hadn't heard from her in a couple of days. And I don't always want to call up my agent and because I know they're busy and I'm busy too.
Sure.
But if I want to kind of just go top of mind, I'd send an email and say, hey, by the way, I have a colleague of mine that I think has a really great voice that might fit into your roster, and that kind of just generates that kind of goodwill, like, let me work with you, let me help you to fill those castings. And so it was just something, it was like didn't even have to do with me. And especially with the new stuff that's coming out now, like for me, how are you going to negotiate, and where are the numbers for, let's say, pre-roll on YouTube, that sort of thing. When it starts to get complicated, maybe they're going to do that, and then they're also going to put it on their website, and then they're also going to have maybe a radio spot. And so when it starts getting complicated like that, you may want to even bring in an agent to not necessarily take over, but maybe work together, on determining what would be a good deal. And I think that it can make you as a voice talent, the whole package look more professional to the client.
It's a chance for you to learn when you have somebody that's involved more personally in that process of negotiating for you, and you can kind of see it take shape and what it entails.
Absolutely.
And the other thing is, if it's a trusted agent and it's somebody who really is looking out for your best interests, guys, we get to walk away and do what we do best. We get to go back to the microphone, get back to talking, and let this other person handle it and know that it's being handled right.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's really the biggest benefit to bringing your agent in.
What a great question. I love that. That was a great question. Wow. That encompassed so many different
fantastic
pieces of the topic that we want to talk about. So, Gabby, I do want to kind of bring up something that I inferred earlier in the podcast about reaching out directly to people to get work. And,
yes.
At B.O.S.S, we have kind of something in the works that I'm super excited about, and I know, Gabby, you too, that is going to be able to help voice talent contact people directly and have I'm going to say, and be able to send a marketing campaign to those people that are interested and hiring and have already given permission to be contacted. And that is going to be coming up probably in the next couple of weeks, actually.
It is, and it's going to be part of what we're doing at B.O.S.S University and all of these fabulous products that we're rolling out so that voice actors have more control of their business and more ways to book work, which is obviously what everybody wants.
Yeah, we're going to help you make it easier. Keep your eye out for client boosters and take a look at, if you haven't already, take a look at our B.O.S.S University. Gabby and I are hard at work behind the scenes, getting a lot of really good content ready for you guys. And we are super excited I just love putting this content together with you, Gabby. I mean, it's just going to be a whole arsenal of wonderful tools for you guys.
All it comes down to is Anne and I could not geek out more on this stuff.
Isn't that the truth?
If this is an area in your business that is a little bit painful or where you feel you want more help, need more help, we're your girls. We got you.
And two boss brains are better than one.
Hell yeah.
So, you don't just get me or Gabby. You get
You
both
get
of
both.
us. You get both of us with our years of experience, helping you to be able to, brand your business and figure out where your target markets are and to be able to reach them in the most effective way. So, not just one, but two.
And speaking of not just one, but two, the way we're able to do this, our fabulous sponsor, IPDTL, because without them, we wouldn't be able to do this the way we do and as seamlessly and as awesome. For more info, check them out at ipdtl.com.
How much do we love IPDTL? We really do.
So much.
Oh my gosh.
So much.
Yes, check them out so that you too can record like a boss. From all of us at the B.O.S.S podcast, you guys have a kick butt week.
Stay focused and rock your business.
Rock your business. Like a boss.
Like a boss.
A VO Boss. You can like us on Facebook at VO.Boss Podcast and Twitter at VO_boss.
Subscribe to us on YouTube. And of course, guys, be sure to check out the website. Go to VOBoss.com for exclusive content and Boss University.
That's right. Oh, and iTunes or Stitcher, you can also subscribe there. And we are just coming up with a new Instagram account. So stay tuned for more info on that. You guys, have a wonderful week. Thanks so much for listening.
Bye.
Bye.
Join us next week for another edition of B.O.S.S. with your hosts, Anne Ganguza and Gabby Nisterko. All rights reserved. Anne Ganguza voice talent in association with 3 Moon Media. Redistribution with permission. Coast to coast connectivity via IPDTL.